welcome back to the channel and another one this morning. And I'm going to keep this really short, to be honest with you. However, I just want to touch on something. The Sky Sports have released the Dcl interview, and to be fair, I thought he spoke very well. He spoke about leaving Everton, a fresh start at Leeds, big club, great fans, all that jazz. Typical stuff as you get from an interview. It was quite a softball interview again. But what I took away from this, and I am massively critical of the manager, and we all know that, but what I took away from this interview was Dominic Calvert-Lewin's. He wanted to put across how the manager sold the club to him. He wanted to put across how the manager just didn't speak tactics or formations, or he spoke to them on a human level, on a personal level. And that actually made me a bit happy, actually, I've been very critical of Daniel Farke, but I will have to give him my props on this one. Calvert-Lewin was linked to a number of clubs, and we knew he was linked to Premier League clubs, he was linked to clubs abroad. He was linked to Italian clubs and Saudi clubs, and he chose to come to Leeds. And that's through probably the call that he got from Farke, the more personal. Like he said, he never really gets those conversations or those type of conversations from other managers in his career. So I have to take my hat off to Daniel Farke. He's got that DCL move over the line. So, yeah, hats off to Daniel Farke for that one. And the likelihood is he's got a couple of other boys that are in a similar situation where he's lifted the phone and he's been able to talk to them and maybe sell the project a wee bit better to them. Maybe speak to them on a human level, especially the likes of an Anton Stack or a Perry that is coming from another country to relocate to the Yorkshire itself, we all know Yorkshire's a world of its own. So it's probably quite difficult if you're especially a foreign player coming and you're living in a big city and you're coming across and you're living in Harrogate. So having a support structure around you is quite important, and having a manager that is able to speak to you on a human level is very important. So I do give Daniel Farke very big plaudits for that. However, my concern, I still got concerns. We've all got concerns. One of my major concerns about Farke not delving into all the stuff that I've went over, because I'm sure over the next few days there's going to be stuff released running up to this Villa game. One of the things for me is, if he's very good at the man management when it comes to the likes of a DCL coming to the club, and I am taking my hat off to the man. However, if he's good at that, what is going on with the likes of an Archie Gray, a Charlie Cresswell, a Willie Gnonto, the Joffrey even going out and we know Joffrey's not going to make it in the Premier League with us at the minute, but the way he's treated the youth coming through. Ramazani, he's 24 years old. Shipped him out. We could have done with him in the squad. We don't even have a full squad. He fell out with Mateo Joseph. Mateo Joseph is a bit of a jack the lad, so to speak. But what is the problem with the youth coming through at the club? Is it because they're not his players? He hasn't selected them? Is it because is he trying to protect them? Or is it his ego? Harry Gray, in my opinion, we know that there's a number of championship clubs after him. But I'll be brutally honest with you, I think Harry Gray can do it in the Premier League. I'm not saying that he's going to score 25 league goals. What I'm saying is, for 10 or 15 minutes, he's an option off the bench that defenders in that league don't. They will not have the statistics or the analysis that they would have on other players, like a Perot coming off the bench around Nemacha. They can look at top flight Bundesliga and look at Nemacha. They can look at Championship the last 4 or 5 years and they see Perot. They know they're not going to get, Perot's not beating them on a foot race. But my concern is, how can you be very good man management with DCL on one hand, but on the other hand, be so poor at it with the youth? You know, you fell out with Cresswell's dad and then Cresswell leaves. And I'm not saying Cresswell starts or anything like that there, but we sold Charlie Cresswell for 3 or 4 million quid. He's 15 to 20 million quid of a player now, going by reports in France. So, and he's playing very well. So the situation, it's like a juxtaposition. It's complete opposite. It's like you have, in one hand, he's good bringing in new players, and on the other hand, not so good with the players he has. We know there was an issue with Willie last season and the season before, specifically with Willie and Cree Somerville. And I didn't go into the detail about the interview that he did with Sky. This is not DCL, it was Farka. Farka said on Sky, that they lost 3 of their players, 3 big players, and they had to rebuild and all. The reason why we lost, Daniel, is because we lost to Russell Martin in Southampton. The first season that you were there, we failed. And you can muddy the water all you want. You can say, well, a rough start. And yes, we did. And I caveat that. And that's why I stood behind you at the end of that season. But the problem that I have with that argument is we had £100 million worth of players that had to leave. We took the most money in the entire world of football. And the situation that I find myself in is, I think you're just using excuses. We failed with those 3 players. And 2 of those players are very important members of Premier League teams right now. Archie's doing well, development-wise, he's doing very well at Spurs. He's coming on every now and then this season, and he starts the odd game. Last season, he was a mainstay purely because of injuries, but he was there. You had to play Archie because it wasn't out of your, whenever we had Archie, it wasn't out of the love of Archie Gray that you wanted to play him. It was out of necessity that you played him, because he was just better than other players that we had, and we had a very, very, very small squad, and we lost him. Now, then I want to flip this to the 49ers. The 49ers have stated in an interview, we'll spend all the money, this is per Admirati, we'll spend all the money we can in the Premier League, and we'll do as much money as we're allowed to spend, we'll spend. And what the 49ers did 2 years in a row, the first year that Daniel Farke failed getting into the Premier League, what did we do? We brought in the most money in world football. The second season, Farke gets us out of the Championship and into the Premier League. So now we're moving into the big time. Big money, big sponsorship deals, Red Bull, Adidas. You're talking big sponsorship deals throughout the world. And the 49ers failed in the last 2 weeks of the window. And what they do is they then say, we maxed out as much as we could. Something doesn't add up. And until we find out the entirety of where the money went, if this is the case that we have maxed out PSR, it concerns me very, very much so. The year before the 49ers took over as owners of the club from Rod Rosani, we had the most, this is crazy, we had the highest admin fees ever in the Premier League at that time. In football, in football within the UK. We went out of the Premier League that year. We had like 200 million in admin fees, something like that, something crazy. But within admin fees, what you can do is you can bury a lot of stuff, like agents, where money went. you can put it down as an admin fee. It's like if I pay a lawyer and I put it down in my report as a lawyer or legal service, but it could be hush money. You know what I mean? That type of shit. So our club is literally what our club has done. Our club literally has used that strategy. They went admin fee, and it's an umbrella for a whole host of stuff. If that's the case, if we are on the breadline when it comes to PSR, I want to see where the money's going. I want to see how much our admin is. Doesn't make sense. Now, when you look at it, and I've listened to the Daniel Farke interview, two interviews, and I've listened to the Dcl interview. And Dcl, although he doesn't go into detail from what I've seen of this interview, unless there's a bigger one coming out, doesn't go into detail on Farke. He does speak well of Farke, the person. He doesn't speak of Farke, the manager. We have to differentiate between the two. Daniel Farke may well be a good person to these players to get them over the line. It doesn't necessarily correlate with him being a very good manager at the top level. In fact, we can look at the stats. Somebody actually responded, and this is a shout out to you. I can't remember your name now. I said Daniel Farke's got a 15% win rate in the Premier League, and they went and done the maths. In the top flight of all of his career in top flight football, he's got a 25% win rate. That magically will bring us down. Now, I did the maths yesterday. I was talking to my father, and we were looking at the pros and the cons of Daniel Farke and a 15% win rate, and that will take us out at about 17.1 points this season, where we are at the minute. So we would need about 19 draws. So 10% of 120 odd points, whatever it is like 12 point whatever. 15% brings you up to like 17.1 points. So we would need like 20 points to achieve safety this season, which would mean we need 20 draws. Now, that's not including draws, that's just wins. So we've got 3 wins, that's 9 points. Statistically, going by Daniel Farke, we've got another 3 wins in us. It's not enough. I'm going to flip this back after watching that video. I don't think Daniel Farke may have limitations. And I have went over everything when it comes to the patronising, the gaslight and all that jazz. And he may have limitations in the Premier League on the highest level. That's on him. It's on us to get, as in the club, to get it right at the highest level should we want to stay in the league. I think, and we all, the vast majority of us, want Daniel Farke to leave. However, the 49ers have to get this right. There is no point in sacking Daniel Farke to go for somebody worse without credibility. Dcl said it himself. The man picked the phone up, spoke to him, was personal, was human, spoke to him about normal things. We need a man in the position of manager that is able to pick the phone up and go, here, come to this club. We need somebody with a wee bit of stature that has got a good reputation in the game. I do not want Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers, at every club he's been at, he was a success at Leicester and then absolutely failed. He divided that club. He divided Celtic. He divided Liverpool. He falls out with people. I do not want him at the club. We need someone of good stature to come into the club and take over. When Farke talks, Probably Friday. I'll probably do an evening analysis with him. I'll look over what he said, release a video, take it from there. But I don't think he's going to have any excuse. We're at home. We're against Villa. Statistically, it's probably one of the easiest out of the 4 games that we're going to face in the next 4 games. It's probably the best chance we get at taking points. I do not want any player injured. We know Ampadu's going to be okay because he didn't play in the Wales game. We know Dan James came through it okay. We know Rodon and Carlardo came through it okay. And to be fair, Wales, they were banging 7-1. They should come in bouncing, ready to go. We know Gruev actually played for Bulgaria. The last time I saw it, I think they were winning. There's players there. Aronson should come back, hopefully fit as well. There's players from all around the world. AO, hopefully they'll all come back. I do not want Daniel Farke to be able to turn around and say, this is the reason or that's the reason. We want a full-strength team, full-strength squad, and Daniel Farke has to show us, the fans, that he can do it against Unai Emery. Even if he does, he's just not the man. And he's proved that over the last 11 games. He's proved that in his previous top flight. But I will say that interview with Dcl made me... It hasn't changed my mind in the slightest. I don't think Farke is anywhere near the level. Nowhere near. And people can argue with me all they want. But the fact of the matter is, no matter what way you dress this up, no matter way you address it, Daniel Farke has never, ever, ever been a success in any top-level football club he's been at. So, as much as there was a bit of good news, maybe positivity there in that interview, I want DCL to go out and score. The likelihood is the fact that he did that interview and the match starts. But listen, I think the club are on an absolute PR cruise this week, trying to maybe get the fans back on side a wee bit. Anybody that's sitting on the fence to fall back over onto the Farke side. It's not going to happen with an awful lot of us, unless we really do well in the next 4, which, let's be honest, looking at the Brighton game, the Forest game, the Burnley game, even the West Ham second half, that's the last 4. Do we have any faith? If you have no faith in your manager, how can you continue to be positive with it? What has he shown you this season? In any game, what has he shown this season? That he deserves to be here. Listen, quick 18-minute video. Listen, I probably rambled on a wee bit there, but it is what it is. Listen, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for everybody that's watching. Thanks for everybody that's subscribed. Yeah, we're not together. Doesn't matter what opinion you have, we're all together on it. So, as a club, as a fan base, we can argue all we want, but at the end of the day, we all want to win, and we want Leeds to stay up. And we all have different opinions on how it happens. We all have different opinions on the manager. You don't have to be a bellend, you know what I mean? You don't have to be an absolute arsehole to people. I'm sick of seeing it. Sick to the back teeth of seeing people just ridiculing others for the sake. I don't get it. Why do you ridicule everybody? Why ridicule each other just because somebody has a different opinion than you? You just have an opinion, state your case, and let's debate. You don't have to get personal. Anyway, marching on together, on. And hopefully this will be the last video of Friday, but we'll see. But I didn't realize I was going to be doing videos today and yesterday and 2 yesterday. So on.